Hey everyone, and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview of a couple new closed-loop CPU coolers from Antec. These both feature 120mm radiators. This is the Antec KUHLER H2O 650 and Antec KUHLER H2O 950. So we're going to start off with a closer look at the 650 version. Again, these are both 120mm radiators. There's some slight differences between the two, but if you've been looking at closed-loop CPU coolers, Antec has really done quite a job redesigning this one to make it pretty distinct from a lot of the other ones you might see on the market. Now, first off, it's a closed-loop, so no maintenance is involved. This is going to be able to fit on the vast majority of, or I would say pretty much every CPU socket that's currently out and current. For Intel, you got socket 775, 1150, 1155, 1156, 1366, and 2011. And for AMD, you have all of the AM2, AM2 Plus, AM3, AM3 Plus, FM1, and FM2 sockets for compatibility. It's got an integrated PWM fan, an extra large pump, which they've made larger by moving the location of the pump, temperature-controlled LED, and then of course an universal mounting bracket that works for both AMD and Intel sockets, so that's pretty nice. Over here on the side you can see some of the detailed specs such as the fan speed, radiator dimensions, the fan and pump dimensions. I'm not going to read all these off for you guys, but if you want to take a closer look, there are all these specs for your viewing pleasure, including even the cooling liquid detailed down there at the bottom. Around here on the back we can also see some more information about stuff such as the copper cold plate, which is optimized for thermal conduction, extra large pump, which has been moved over and placed behind the fan itself, integrated PWM, which automatically adjusts fan speeds depending on the temperature, and then of course the RGB LED, which will change color based on the temperature, so it can even turn red if something has gone terribly wrong, which hopefully won't happen for you, but it's nice to have a bit of a warning if that does. Here's just a quick chart showing that lower CPU temperatures are better. Kind of goes without saying. But that's about it for the outside of the box. Let's go ahead and take a look inside the box. Inside the box we have a little packaging, of course, keeping everything nice and tidy. Here is your installation guide. Again, fairly simple installation for this hardware. It's got a universal mounting plate and instructions there for the various sockets which you might be using. You also get a spacer, and they've done this specifically to provide some extra airflow behind the unit. And during in-house testing with Antec, which I talked to Justin about a little bit over at Computex this year, they have determined that adding that plate on and providing a bit of extra space there for the air to escape can do a bit to improve your temperatures. Now, as far as hardware goes in here, let's take a look at the accessory kit first. So you get a little baggie. KUHLER H2O 650. Here's your universal backplate, right there. So no need to swap between a different one for Intel and AMD. You just flip it over. Intel, well, that's the AMD side, and that is the Intel side. That's the side that goes up against the back of your motherboard. Apart from that, you also have a universal mounting bracket for the pump itself. So as you can see, you just slide these little fingers back and forth, and that will help you switch between the Intel position and the AMD position. Again, both of those clearly labeled right there. If you're thinking of the socket 2011 configurations, which has a universal backplate, don't worry, this works for that as well. You just don't need this universal backplate that's for all the other sockets. Okay. Apart from that, in here you're going to have a bunch of mounting screws and hardware. So these are the spring-loaded screws which you use to provide tension. You get some longer screws here for fan mounting, some shorter screws here, which I'm sure for something important detailed in the manual. Here's some screws specifically for Intel socket 2011. Here's screws specifically for the AMD and many of the Intel sockets. And then here are the little plugs that go. These will pop into the back plates to provide a place for the screws to gain purchase. And then you also get some rubber pads right here, so you can use those for some sound dampening. Let's move on to the unit itself, which is currently shrouded in plastic. All right. And let's take a look. Let's start off with the tubing. Interesting place to start off, I know, but Justin was telling me this tubing they actually source from scuba diving companies, so that helps provide as minimal amount of evaporation as possible. Again, with the closed-loop cooler, no maintenance is required. This does also come with a 3-year warranty from Antec, so again, you're covered there just in case anything might happen. That's a question they've often got because they do have a fixed fan with this particular configuration here, and the fixed fan is something that is It's a bit of give and take in my personal opinion, but they do have a very nice fan that they've installed right here, so I think most folks are going to be totally fine with it. Another thing that you might not be able to see very well, because it's actually between the fan blades, they have a counter rotation extra set of blades that's placed actually back in there. You can kind of see it like right there a little bit. Okay. And basically what that's doing is it's counterbalancing the air as it moves through, which provides additional static pressure and again provides greater heat dissipation across the radiator itself. The part you might have noticed right off the bat is actually the pump, which is sitting right here actually on top of the fan or outside of the fan. By moving it to this position, Antec was able to go with a much larger pump. Another benefit of that is that the pump generates heat. So whereas in a lot of closed loop cooling solutions, the pump will be right here on the cold plate, or the block, by moving it away, that you're taking a bit of that heat away from it. So that and the larger pump. So the pump's here, two tubes right here for push or for intake and output over to the radiator itself. This radiator is the standard size radiator again. And as you can probably see on the back, you do also have a mounting position there for an exhaust 120 millimeter fan if you do want to set up a push-pull. And you do also have a PWM plug right here, so you can add another fan to this and have it all controlled by the pump. Over to the block side right here, again you get a much slimmer profile right here on that by the removal of the pump from that particular section. Simple cable right here, which you'll ride over and plug into your motherboard via a 3-pin header, and that will provide power to the fans as well as to the pump itself. And then of course you have the cold plate there at the bottom. And also by removing the pump from this unit, they've been able to redesign a bit the actual copper fins that are in there, again to provide some additional heat dissipation. And then over on this side, you got the Antec logo, and that is where you have your RGB color LEDs, which will light up again depending on the temperature. Next up, we'll move on to the 950, and just a quick look at the box. As far as socket compatibility and most of the specs you saw with the 650, that's going to be about the same here. You do get a thicker radiator here. It's double width, so this is a 50 millimeter radiator as opposed to the 27 millimeter radiator that was on the 650. You also get the Antec grid software with this one. So flipping around to the back, here's a quick look at it. We're not going to have time, unfortunately, to install and give you a demo of this today. But there's a quick look at it. You can use that software to control and monitor your cooler H2O, so you can monitor stuff like the fan speeds as well as the temperature and the colors that are going to appear on your little your Antec block right there. So that's pretty nice. As far as detailed specs, we've also got those here on the side, and again, you're going to see roughly the same specs as far as fan speed goes and everything. That radiator dimension right there is really going to be the most major difference, but there are the rest of them in case you wanted to take a quick look. Inside the box, once again, we have the unit itself. You do get a disc with the grid software on it, so you can install directly off that. I would imagine this would also be available from the Antec website. Your Cooler H2O 950 installation manual right there. You do also get, this is the other difference. You get an additional fan here, so you can immediately set up a push-pull configuration. This is black and white Antec fan, and it does have a 4-pin PWM connector, so it will work with the PWM functionality that is integrated into the cooler itself. The cooler itself is right here. When I say cooler, it's like almost like I'm making a joke, because it's a CPU cooler, and it's called the Antec cooler, right? Okay. So here's your mounting hardware. Again, this is essentially the exact same hardware that I showed you with the 650 unit. And with the 950 here again, you get the thicker radiator, so we'll give you guys a quick look at that. Again, functionality-wise, everything else is going to be roughly the same. So the pump here, I'm sorry, the block, I keep wanting to say pump because I'm so used to the pump being integrated right there. But the block right there, again, is going to light up just like the one we described to you on the 650. Make sure that plastic stays on so I don't mess up the thermal paste. And then here's a look at the fan, radiator, and pump itself. Again, same mounting solution you can see right there. You got the specialized fan blades as well as the counter tuned blades that are beneath the fan right there. Flipping to the side here, you can see the thickness, again, 50 millimeters thick. You'll want to make sure that depending where you're mounting this in your computer case, you do have a little bit of extra space, particularly if you're going with a push-pull configuration, because that would mount the other fan thereabouts, and does add a little bit more width to it, although this does look like a fairly thin fan, or at least not particularly thick. And then there's a look at the back of the radiator again, and another look from the side of the radiator. So as you can see, Antec has gone with a unique and definitely a different design here for a closed-loop CPU cooler than we've seen in the past. And sorry guys, one quick additional thing to add, you do also have a USB header right there, and you just route that over to a USB 2.0 header on your motherboard, and that will enable the software monitoring functions. And one final thing here, the two units side by side, just in case you wanted a more visual comparison of the radiator thickness difference here. Again, from where you guys are looking, the thinner 650 on the right and the thicker 950 there on the left. So there is a quick look at all those, and that is pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. Once again, we've been taking a closer look at the Antec KUHLER H2O 950, the thicker one right here, as well as the Antec KUHLER H2O 650, which is right here. I'm Paul with Newegg TV. If you enjoyed today's video, you can find more on our Newegg TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that like button right down there, and we'll see you next time.